Hi, my name is Chris. Welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to be doing Leetcode problem number 36, valid Sodoku. It's considered a medium difficulty. Basically, we just need to determine if a 9 by 9 Sodoku board is valid. So let's just talk about what that means. Okay. So if you don't know how to play Sodoku, basically you got numbers 1 through 9, right? In a 9 by 9 board, right? There's 3 by 3 and 6 by 6, 4 by 4, Sudoku, and all that stuff. But in 9 by 9, basically you're going to have the numbers 1 through 9 in each row in random order, right? And then the same thing with the columns, 1 through 9 in random order. And then the same thing in each box, right? And so each number needs to be unique, 1 through 9. So you can't have a 5 here, for example, because there's already a 5 here. Or you can't have a 5 here, for example, because there's already a 5 here. And you can't have a 5 here because there's a 5 here in this box, right? So that would be a valid Sudoku board. We see this example 2, right? So it's saying in the top left corner being modified to 8, right? So they changed this 5 to an 8. Well, there's an 8 there in this column, so that's invalid. So that's all it is. So basically we need to tackle this algorithm in 3 parts. And I'm going to do it in 2 parts, 1 part divided by, in 2 parts, right? So what I mean is you need to check each row and make sure that no number in that row repeats, right? You need to check each column, and we need to make sure that no number in each of those columns repeats. And then we need to check each 3 by 3 box and make sure that no number in that 3 by 3 box repeats, right? And so the way we're going to do this is we're going to create a nested for loop to give ourselves 2 pointers or 2 indexes. And in that for loop, that inner for loop, we're going to be checking rows and columns, right? So we're going to have 2 indexes, right? We're going to have I and K, right? So we're going to start with this first row here. So index 0 would be right here. So I0 would be here, IK would be 0. So we'd be checking board in position I. So this first row in position K, so this first element of the row, and then we increment K like this. And basically what we're going to do is if it's a number, we're going to push it into an array called storage. And we're also going to check to see first we're going to check to see if that number is in storage. If it isn't, then we're going to push that number into storage, right? And if it is in storage, we're just going to return false, okay? Then we can do the reverse for the column, right? So we could say, do the exact same logic, but say board at K at I, and that will allow us to, for the outer for loop will be each column, the inner for loop will go down each column, and then the outer for loop will move over here, and then it'll go down like that, right? In the same way that the if you flip-flop that and you have board I, K, you're going to start here, check there, then it's going to increment I, it's going to go down, then check there. So let's see how this works. Let's jump into CodePen. I like doing my algorithms here so I can see what my code is doing as I type it. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to define a result variable. We just call it result. And we're going to set it by default to true. And now we're going to return result. And then what we need to do is create our first for loop. So we say for let I equal 0. And then we're just going to say if I is less than 9, because it's always going to be 9 by 9. We're going to, we increment I by 1, so I plus plus, just like that. And then in that outer loop, we're going to define 3 variables. Rows, we're going to set that to an empty array. Columns, set that to an empty array. And then we're going to say index, and that's going to equal 0. Okay, so now we're going to do an inner for loop, and this time we're going to say let k equal index. So this will allow, once we get through this for loop and we come back into this outer loop, we can have 0 again. And then we say if k is less than 9, same thing, this is 9 by 9. We're going to say k plus plus to increment k by 1. Okay, and all of our logic is going to be in here. So before we do that, let's go ahead and console.log, and I'm going to say row, say board I, where did I at k, and now we're going to say column, gotta make that a string, sorry, column, and then just getting lazy, copy that and just reverse it. Right? Okay, let's see what we got here. So if you look at row, we got 5, 3, period, period, 7, period, 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 and 6, period, period, 1, 9, 5, so on forth, so on and so forth. So you're seeing everything go along like this. Right? And then we got column 5, 6, period, 8, 4, 7, period, 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 3, period, 9, right? 5, 6, period, 8, 4, 7, period, period, 3, period, 9. So now column is going like that. Okay? So this is what we want. Now what we can do is we can set up 2 if-else statements in this for loop. And what we need to do is we need to see if board, I'm going to check the columns first, I, k, does not equal a period. And rows dot includes board I, k. Oops, sorry. Ooh, I spelled includes wrong. That's going to be a problem. Includes, okay. That equals false. into rows.push. .ik. And oh man, I am not doing good with the spelling today. There we go. Includes. Cool. All right. So before we go any further, let's console.log rows. Cool. Top here. Okay. So here we see that we have our first row, 5, then 3, then 5 and 3 because they're all periods, then 7, right? And then it resets to 6, the next row. Eventually we're going to get 61995, right? 6195. Yeah, so on and so forth. So you get that. And then we need to say else if rows.includes board at IK. I'm just going to return false. Oh, no, that's not what we're... Yeah, no, it's fine. That's going to work. Just fine. All right, so let's test this out. So let's say we're testing the rows right now. So let's say a 5 there. We should get a false. And we do. If I put a 4 here, we should get false. And we do. Very good. Okay, so that's working just fine. Now we need to do the exact same thing for columns. The only thing that we're going to do differently is we're going to change all these rows to this columns array, and we're going to switch the I and the K. And that will make our loop go this way, right? So we can just copy that. We're going to switch all the K's and all the I's. K, I, K, I, K. All right, cool. And then we just got to change it to columns. So now if we console.log columns, oops, columns, okay, here we go, it's there. So 5, 5, 6, 5, 6, 8, 5, 6, 8, 4, 5, 6, 8, 4, 7, and then resets to 3, 3, 9, 3, 9, 3, 9, 6. So 5, 6, 8, 4, 7, 3, 9, 6, right? So we see it traveling that way. Cool. So let's make sure that this is working. So we're gonna put a 2 here. We should get false. Uh-oh. We got a problem. Oh, I see it. This is not supposed to be 1, that's supposed to be I. Cool. All right, so that's working as well. All right, so that check is perfect. And so watch this. So we're gonna, this isn't done yet because we still need to check the 3x3 boxes, right? But before we do, let's go into Leetcode. And run this. And I'm just doing this because a lot of the test cases, for example, this one and this one, aren't even looking at the boxes yet, right? Well, they are. I mean, they are looking at the boxes, but like, you know, all the true results are going to work with the solution, right? And all the false examples are going to work if there's a duplicate in the row or column, but not in the boxes. So let's see how many tests we passed. Cool. So we passed the basic test. Let's submit. I know it's going to fail some, but right. All right, so yeah, it passes most of the tests, but you see here, let's see if we can find it. It's supposed to be false. Oh, here we go. So this 3 by 3 box, there's 2 ones. So that's what's breaking it. Okay, let's jump back over to code pen. And oh, I think I changed something. I don't remember what I changed. Wait, hold on. Cool. Keep doing it. Okay, great. All right, so now what we need to do is check the boxes. This is a little cumbersome, so I am going to paste in some code right now. All right, take that back. I'm gonna get started on and paste in the remainder later, so we can take it step by step. All right, so how are we gonna get these boxes? Well, I'm just going to do it manually. I'm basically going to create 9 arrays. Box 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, right? And then I'm just going to use slice to get an array for each of those boxes. So basically for the first one, our first array is going to be 5, 3, period, 6, period, 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 9, 8. Second one's going to be period, 7, period, 1, 9, 5, period, 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 so on and so forth. Okay, so we're going to create a variable called box1. And we're just going to say board, add 0, oops, yeah, no, that's right, dot slice. And we're going to cut it right at the 0 index up through the 3rd index. So it's going to get the first 3 elements. And then we're going to copy this and then change this to the 1st index. Paste it in again, and change it to the 2nd index. So now box 1 is going to be this, this, and this. Final thing we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and flatten this out. So it's all just one array. Let's use the flat keyword. All right, so now we should have that. So let's go ahead and just return box 1. So 5, 3, period, 6, period, 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 9, 8. Perfect. Okay. So we're going to have to do that for every box, right? But we're going to come back to that. Then we're going to have to write a function and call it with each one of these variables, box 1, box 2, box 3, box 4, as a parameter. And you know what? I'm going to just, might as well just do it now. So I'm going to go ahead and paste in the rest of the variables because it's going to take forever to write out. Here we go. Oh, crap. What did I do? Why is it formatting like that? That's so weird. one drag about CodePen is it doesn't format automatically very well, and that drives me nuts. Cool. So those are our 9 variables for each box. So now we have an array, you know, of each box. So then we're going to create a function, a helper function called box test, and we'll pass in a variable array. For now, what we're going to do is we're just going to console.log array. We're not calling it yet, so it's not doing anything. You're not going to see it in the console, but then we're going to call it, and we're going to pass in each one of these. I'm going to call it 9 times. And it did it again. Why is that weird? No, that's cool. Okay, we're good. Alright, I'm just going to leave it because that'll take forever. Alright, so let's put in the logic to the function, and that will be the last step. So what we need to do is start off by creating a variable called storage. And, you know, probably a better name to kind of, you know, follow that naming convention is to call this boxes. Yeah, because then we have rows, columns, and boxes. And we're just going to basically do the exact same stuff we did here, right? So we're going to say for let I equal 0, and we're going to say if I is less than 9, so we know it's going to be 9, I plus plus, and then we're going to say if storage, no, we changed the name, sorry, if boxes dot includes array I, if that equals false and array I, not percentage sign, we need ampersands here, and array I does not equal period, storage dot push array at I. Okay. Oops, I keep doing that. Boxes. Cool. So now, I'm just going to count this out for now because this is going to put too much in the console. So now let's look at boxes. Oh. So we're getting 5, 3, 5, 3, 5, 3, 6, 5, 3, 6, 5, 3, 6, 9, 5, 3, 6, 9, 8, right? So we're getting all the numbers in that first box. Then we're going to do the same thing. So we're going to say, we're going to check to see if that number is already in there. So if array at I, nope, that's not what we want. Sorry. We want to say if else if boxes dot includes array at I. We simply, we set, because this is a helper function, we're going to do this a little bit differently. We're going to reset result to false. you remember, we made error result if they're equaling true. Okay. Now I think we should be cool. Why is it unexplainable? Oh, results. What am I doing? Equals false. There we go. So now, if we return result, right now we should be seeing true, which we are. And it was say we put a 5 here. Oh no, not there. We don't want to do that because that's not gonna. It's just gonna be triggered by a column check. Put it there. We should get false, and we do. Great. So now we can uncomment all this. Now it's gonna check all the boxes. Okay, so let's copy this now and go back to Leetcode. I think we should have our solution. So we get rid of all this. I'm going to format my code. There we go. Much nicer. And then we're going to run it. Cool. Submit it. And we're good. That beats 77%. That's not bad. Okay. Hope you liked this video. Hope you found it helpful. If you'd like to see more like these, don't forget to like and subscribe to my channel. Enjoy the rest of your day.